All right, you're up.
They said it's last song.
Well, let's let H2 on. All right.
As soon as the song's over, go ahead.
As soon as the song's over, we'll start our demonstration.
Which way are you guys firing? I don't know which way they're firing. But yeah. Now, was that helmet real with that cover?
It's not an original one, but it's a fake.
In our museum, we have a real one. I'll give you the card later on. I'll bring the museum card.
All right, so good afternoon, folks. So I'm representing an American soldier from the First World War. And of course, a lot of people know that the standard service rifle in the First World War was the 1903 Springfield. This is not a 1903 Springfield. This is the Remington model of 1917. And actually, for every 1903 that was manufactured and issued, 3 of these were manufactured and in American soldiers' hands over in France. So if you're going to look at average American soldier in the First World War, chances are this is what they're carrying. But it works very similar to the 1903, and it actually feeds from the same 5-round stripper clip that the 03 used as well. So it's a very simple operation. Open the bolt, take stripper clip out, I'll pull the stripper clip out because I don't want to damage it, but you could just slam the bolt home. To load and fire, all I have to do is close that bolt, pull the trigger. Fire in the hole.
So I am portraying a First World War German. What I have here is a bit of an oddity when it comes to the gun world. This is considered to be the world's first lightweight machine gun, known as a Madsen. These were produced in Denmark starting in 1902. Now I'm a German, why do I have a Danish weapon? That is because Germany captured a shipment of these going from Denmark to Bulgaria in 1915. They took these, they rechambered them for the German cartridge, and they issued them to a number of specific machine gun detachments that practiced using these in the field. Most of the time in the First World War, you would see the heavier Maxim machine guns. Germany produced around 130,000 of those. Those were one of the main weapons that you would see that was capable of fully automatic fire during the First World War. I cannot afford one of those, sorry. I have this. I did get this converted to shoot blanks. It was never designed to do that, but I had someone convert it. It might work great, it might not. Let's see. Interestingly, most of the time you see guns that are either belt fed or they feed from the bottom. This gun feeds from the top.
Still fire real rounds?
Yes, I have a set of internals for live fire as well. There's not as much recoil that's produced in these smaller planes. The live firing obviously will be better.
they got another gun.
A USGI, we're an HBT, so probably more Army in the Pacific, but you know, US is pretty standard for most theaters. We're going to start the iconic M1 Grand. Everyone knows what this is. Same thing, firing blanks. It might not work the best. You know, these weapons are older than all of us combined, so they don't work always the best. M1 Grand fires from an internal 8-round clip. Actually a clip, not a magazine. 30-06 semi-auto. It was the first standard issue semi-auto rifle in the world. Give this one a shot.
That's the guy looking in the window over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Looks like they're shooting at me.
Go ahead and call that one because I don't have a blank adapter.
They faked that noise to get them to think they were out of ammo too. I guess the Germans didn't they? They throw clips on them.
So that's kind of a myth. Okay, if you got 10 guys beside you shooting real guns, you're not going to hear that hit the ground.
Yeah, so that was
Moving forward. Browning 1919, 30-06 squad level machine gun. Well, not squad level, company level. This one's going to be a semi-auto, like almost everything else here is, but of course these were a full-auto machine gun. This is the 1919 A4 in this configuration, carried with the tripod. This would be a 2 to 3 man team, 1 man with the gun, 1 man with the tripod. You'd have a 3rd man that's possibly just an ammo bearer. This was the US's, debatably, I'll talk about more of that when I get to the BAR, but the US machine gun of the war, comparable to your NG-42s, such like that. So I'll get this thing, see if it wants to work.
You can use this as
If you thought that was loud, let me introduce you to my personal favorite from the good Saint John Moses Browning, Browning automatic rifle. This was adopted in 1918 to help defeat the Hun at the end of World War I. She didn't really see much action in that war. She trooped on to World War II to act as the US's squad level machine gun. As you can see, she only feeds from a 20-round box mag. This never could truly help compete with the Browning or German MG-42, but she did her best and served her time in World War II in Korea. It was a very reliable weapon. The men that carried her loved this rifle. She had firepower of 3 Garands combined in an automatic platform. Again, this one is semi-automatic. What a real one would be a Flotto.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. I will try. So I'm representing a member of the Red Army of World War II. That was the military of the Soviet Union, not of Russia. Russia wasn't a country after 1917. The Communist Party of Russia comes in, takes power, and for better and for worse, modernizes Russia and prepares her for World War II. Now, one thing they didn't really modernize was the standard small arm of the Red Army, which is the Mosin Nagant rifle. Now, this one is a little shorter because this is a carbine model of that rifle. It was issued mainly to drivers, technical staff, people who didn't need a full-length rifle, or where a full-length rifle, which would come up to about here on me, would get in the way. In addition to that, this rifle does not take a bayonet. So you guys know what a bayonet is for close quarters fighting. They figured, why would a driver ever need a bayonet? Why would a medical personnel ever need a bayonet? These do not take bayonets. They cannot be used like that. And most of the guys who had these, from memoirs I've read, never used them because they're driving a truck everywhere and they didn't get jumped by the Germans. It stayed in the front seat of the truck, never used. So a lot of these you can find are in fairly good condition. The bolt action rifle, like we saw, means you can go bang, bang, bang. Now some people will argue the Lee Enfield is the best bolt action rifle, the Mauser is the best bolt action rifle, the fanboys all have their hills to die on. My argument is, it doesn't matter. The average soldier who would have fought using a Mosin, a Lee Enfield, a Kar 98, a Mauser, were conscript fighters. They were everyday people who were drafted into the military, maybe had rudimentary training 6 to 8 weeks. In Soviet case, it was about 10 weeks of training. That's kind of a myth that people think the Soviets were this bored. They actually received a longer basic training than Western powers. And your average conscript would not learn to shoot well enough on these nicer Mosins and Mausers and Lee Enfields. And as a result, they shot about the same. These were conscripts coming from civilian life, given a gun for the first time and said, go and shoot and kill. They don't learn very quickly. The cavalry. So as a result, which one's the best? It's the one that you can make the cheapest, and it's the Mosin. The Mosin is the most industrially prepared rifle to go. It's the quickest to manufacture, and that's why the Soviets used it from 1917 when they take power until really the early 1950s when the SKS rifle and the AK series of rifles replaced it. So I'll go ahead and shoot this one for you. It's nothing super dramatic as a BAR, but it's good to shoot it either way. So it feeds from a stripper clip like we've seen. Now these can be very temperamental. Let's see if I can actually do it. So you would grab it, press down on the round with your thumb, and hopefully it actually works. So let's see.
They still sell these used to this day, don't they?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They used to be under $100. Now they're more reasonable, like 3 to 4. Not reasonable, I guess unreasonable if you think of it that way. I think they're finally being appreciated for the fine rifles they are.
Hello everybody, my name is Chris and I'm a part of the Italian Decima Mas. And today I will be presenting the 1891 Carcano Truppe Speciale. This was a rifle that held 6 rounds. It was chambered via an en-bloc clip. This fired the round 6.5 Carcano. This is a very tough round to find, and it was very proprietary for the war. This was less powerful than most standard full-size rifle cartridges during the war. So how this loads, you open, the whole clip gets inserted, and you're good to go. Once I fire the 6 rounds, the clips will fall out the bottom of the magazine. Observe. Fire the hole. Thank you.
Yeah. Now that you got everybody's attention flowing, I'm Gary Linden. I am the curator of the Chicagoland Combined Veterans Museum located in River Grove, Illinois. That's who has put this on for all of us.
We want to thank everybody for being here. This is my once a day walk down to see if I can get some donations for the museum to help offset our costs. So anything will be appreciated. And I have flyers here for whoever would like one. We are open the third Sunday of every month or by appointment with no charge. Who would like one? The phone numbers are on the back. Thank you.
Any Vietnam stuff.
Thank you.
My name is Brandon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right here I present to you is an M16.
Thank you, sir.
And this caliber fires is 5.56. Standard mags is 20 rounders. You think to see the 30 rounders, most likely that's not been there except late war. Rounds, magazines take about 20 rounds. Feeds just from the bottom, just like any standard modern AR. Feed it. Bayonet lug, although you most likely not use it, but at the same time you could use it. Early war has 3 prongs in the end. Early, they close it to a birdcage style. Fairly light. Plastic, a lot of plastic. Handguards plastic, buttstock, pistol grip. All in all, this was decent for it when it came out. It only progressed better. I'll show demonstrate a fire rule.
My name's Josh, also known as Doc. I have here at Winchester Model 1200. There were a bunch of different variants in Vietnam. I'm not going to go through them all because I really don't know them all. This would carry 5+1, so you'd have 1 in the tube, and then 5. You could either, after World War II, they took the front switch out of it, so you can't do what they call slam fire, which means you hold the trigger down and just pump the action, and it would go. Well, we can do it pretty quickly. He's going to demonstrate a slow, and then I'll show you how to rapid fire. The reason they had such a long stick on them is because you can poke people from far away.
Alright, so we're going to take a big step back in time because we had some late arrivals. You guys want to talk about.
Alright. If it wasn't for me, none of these guys would exist. You would. Well, wait, we beat you too. Anyway, I belong to Alexander Hamilton's New York Provincial Company of Artillery. Long word. Alexander Hamilton was our founding captain. We were founded in March of 1776. Why that's important? We are the only Revolutionary War still in active military service. After the Revolution, Continental Congress did not want a standing army. Sorry, guys. So the army was disbanded. So all the equipment was put in West Point. And Hamilton's artillery was picked to guard the stores in West Point. So the modern day army was forged by the officer and enlisted personnel of Alexander Hamilton's artillery. So these are my great-great-great-great grandchildren. Okay. Brown Bess musket was a standard issue for British and colonial forces in the American Revolution. It's amazing. This one's a 69 caliber. I can fire 3 rounds a minute. They can beat me on that. Maximum range about 75 yards. They can beat me on that too. All right. There was a standard procedure to load this in a linear battlefield. So why we all stood in straight lines and not within 50 yards of each other to shoot each other was because of the Brown Bess musket. We didn't have the range, obviously, as the modern day firearms, or actually the Civil War firearms. So over here, and I'm going to do the manual of arms that they would actually have us do. I'm not just going to load it. I have no projectiles, just blanks, so I'm not going to pull the ramrod. Okay, that's just something I'm not going to do. All right, thank you.
All maneuvers are at the shoulder. So you would shoulder your arm first. Commander would say prime and load. You bring it down here. Down around. You have to have 2 good teeth to do this. Prime the hand. Bring it down. Back up. Shoulder. Hey, George. Yeah. Present. Make ready. You cock it. Can you hear me? Fire. Yeah. I'm not getting any power. Do it all over again. So it's a very slow, methodic, step by step, or by cadence by a drum. It's a lot different than any other fire. Thank you.
This is an 1861 rifled musket. Springfield. Took it down to Richmond and they created these rifles. Other rifles they would take off the battlefield for dead soldiers, and so both sides were armed with the 1861 Springfield Rifle musket. Fires a 58 caliber bullet. This is what the cartridge looks like. It's paper. Tear the end of the cartridge. Dump the powder down. At that point, you take your round and drop it down the barrel. It's a little bit smaller than the barrel is, so you can push it down with the ramrod so it makes good contact with the powder. If you don't make good contact with the powder, you can blow up the entire weapon. It's a little more complicated than these weapons are. At that point, you bring it up, you go to half cock, put a percussion cap on the nipple, which will ignite the main powder charge, which is now down in here. Now the full cock, fire. Carry 40 of these rounds in this box. It's called 40 dead men. It's a joke because you could fire all 40 rounds and never hit anybody. Now, they were fairly accurate, but you couldn't see anybody on a Civil War battlefield. It's not smokeless powder like these weapons. There was so much powder expended, so much smoke on the battlefield, you could not see the enemy. So officers would get down on their hands and knees and look under the smoke to identify where the enemy's feet were. They would direct their men to fire in that direction. The chances of hitting them are pretty minimal. You could fire off all 40 rounds. You might even fire off 60. You carry extra rounds in your pocket, your gem, anywhere you could. You'd have something to fall back on. Just fire all 60 rounds and never hit a single individual.
Fucking bullshit. These fucking radios. I got a question then, sir.
Yes, sir.
If not that many people were getting hit, then how come all these guys were, how did they get killed?
Think about this. There were just under 7 million individual bullets fired at Gettysburg. There were about 7,000 deaths, direct deaths at Gettysburg. Do the math.
Only half of those to what? Artillery?
One. Misfire.
Misfire.
Very common. There's a reason for that. You observe the same procedure they would use here. You wait to see if it discharges in a safe direction. Now the reason that they misfire so often is that you have to make good contact between the bullet and the powder. There is no bullet in this weapon because they're worth in these. So misfires are fairly common. So you might end up expending all 40 cartridges. What do? You've got a bullet down the barrel and it doesn't fire. What do? Go home? Now, Actually, the NCOs, the non-commissioned officers, carry a device that they could use to pull the round back up out of the barrel. You couldn't just tip it over and dump it out. It doesn't work that way. So misfires were common. Any questions?
Your bore is rifled
Bore is rifled.
and his is not.
They are rifled. Oh, yours is not. His is a musket. Smooth. Right. Smooth bore. Okay. Right. Good question. I didn't do that on purpose, but it does demonstrate that misfires are fairly common.
Thank you.
All right, this will conclude the live fire demonstration.
Right, thank you so much.